every Monday night for free.
Well, sometimes gotta.
Can't go Tuesday. Do fine.
Good.
I do.
Real good.
You bet.
Yes, or at least that's my goal. You're ready.
It's a haircut.
We're plugged in. What do we got? 2 minutes?
Right. I'm trying.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Marion County Quorum Court meeting February 21st, 2023, now in session. Please rise for prayer to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Sheriff Alexander.
Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day that you blessed us with. We thank you for the wonderful rain that you've sent us in the past, Lord. We thank you for the rain you're going to send us. We thank you for each one here and ask us blessing on them and their families. Lord, we ask you to be with us tonight as we go about the county's business, Lord, and just help us to make the decisions that'll please you. Lord, we ask for wisdom to make the decisions in life that'll please you. Go with us, lead and guide and direct us. Forgive us where we fail you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Justice White.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Minutes.
I have a question regarding the minutes.
Yeah.
Mr. Justice White did not reach out to me in regards to switching his position representing us for, it's on the second page, at AAC. I'm wondering if, since we appointed him, don't we need to appoint?
I thought he had sent that out to everybody.
He did not. Well, maybe send it to everybody else. I didn't do it. What's it you did? Just, he did not get it.
I didn't get it.
Okay. Yes, please, because I already sent in the information. I think I have to go back.
Are we good on that?
We will be. Do we need a motion? Yep. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those for? Against? Discussion?
Excuse me, we're talking about approval of the minutes, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But she said that, I'm sorry, say again.
Justice White asked to be relieved as our person at AAC, and he was supposed to contact us, but he did not contact some of the members
Okay.
of the court. So I was unaware of that problem until I got the minutes. And as I said, since we appointed Justice White, I would think we would need to appoint the other justice.
Yes, sir.
During the old business portion of the agenda, we can reappoint a new member.
Okay.
So you need a motion to amend the minutes? That's right. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
So you want me to take that portion out?
I think that would be the easiest.
Okay.
need to leave it Justice White, and then we will.
Okay,
As
I will amend it before I get it signed. Not a problem.
All those for the amendment?
Aye.
Against? All right, we'll pick that up at the old business. Treasurer's report.
As of the end of January, County General had a balance of $2,063,805.06. County Road Fund had $2,374,887.19. Total funds under my responsibility at the end of January, $10,560,692.21. As of today, that only varies by $38,000. I have $10,598,217.71. We did finally receive a small reimbursement of FEMA money, $3,649.28, that for a 2018 disaster declaration. The 1% sales tax revenue received for January was $130,844, which is up almost $4,100 compared to January 2022.
All right.
Jail bond sales tax, which is that 0.25%, was $47,341.76, which is up $1,482 from January 2022. Any questions?
Over the last 2 years, we've gotten executive board of sheriff reports from the treasurer's office telling about how much money was transferred from the one fund to the 1,800. I think we have. Go ahead.
Susie printed those off and I left them in my vehicle. I was gonna hand them out.
Oh.
Would you like me to go? I am so sorry.
You want me just to distribute it in the morning?
Thank you.
Anything else?
All right, get a motion.
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All is for?
Aye.
Against? Assessor's report. All right, she's dealing with things on her own end right now with the passing of a family member. Collector's report.
I would read the collector's report, but I printed off December's. I can send out January's tomorrow. So the number, okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, for January in delinquent taxes, $79,403.20. We have rolled over and we are starting to collect 2022 taxes. So we're collecting the taxes earlier than previous years. And we're hoping tax statements go out mid-May, mid-March. We have sent out delinquent notices and we've collected taxes as far back as 2003. Not a lot. some 16, 17s, and 18s, and there is no statute of limitation on collecting back taxes.
Okay.
And I talked to Mr. Russo, he's here somewhere, and I had a couple hot checks, and I want to start putting a surcharge on checks that are returned, because there is work involved in voiding the receipts, going through the process with the bank. And once I do a little bit more research, I'm going to be doing ordinances on that. But I do believe that collecting old taxes, it's money owed to the county, and I think it should be paid.
Yes.
So I'm going to, in a couple months, once it settles down in the collector's office, because as you know, we just learned a new program, which is extremely, extremely detailed. I thought going back to the collector's office was going to be like riding a bike. I was wrong. There's a lot of work involved in there. But one of our goals is, we got rolled over, we have some glitches to work on. We are going after pass-through taxes and hot checks.
All right.
And like I said, I've already had a discussion with Mr. Russo on this. And that's all I have. Questions?
Get a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Thank you.
Did I get a second?
Yeah, ready.
All right. I'm sorry I didn't hear. Discussion? All those for?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? OEM report.
Thank you, Judge. Justices, I included a rather detailed report in your packet. The only thing I'd really like to point out is that the tornado that we had the other day, everybody worked really well together. County departments and OEM and Bruno Fire Department really rose to the occasion. Got the roads cleared. We're very fortunate with that. Otherwise, I'll let the report stand as written unless anybody has a question or something in my report that I can explain.
Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All those for?
Aye. Aye.
Against? My E91 coordinator had a physical illness. She'll not be here tonight. Grant report?
We have one of our fire departments is applying for a grant, and there's a resolution in your packets. For a pumper for the water in a truck. This is for the Oakland Thomas Lane.
Is that the one you said for Oakland?
Yeah,
All
Oakland
right.
Thomas Lane Fire
Good deal.
District.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All's for? Against? Law enforcement report.
We emailed the law enforcement report out earlier. I hope everybody got it. I tried to get it out in a timely manner. We're gonna quickly go over what was emailed out. Total county inmates for January 2023, we averaged 66 per day. 29 male, 4 female. We had 3 309s, and we averaged 29 DOC inmates, and one of the inmates is a female. Circuit court collections, we collected $5,870.58. Circuit court restorations, $1,364.17. And the district court collections was $14,367.50. Total warrants issued were 32. We had 0 inmates from Flippin, had 8 from Yelville, or detainees from Yelville. Total bailiff hours was 86.50 and 29.75 for the other gentleman. So we had total transport hours of 76 hours, and total hours of service last month were 100 hours and 24 minutes of transportation to other facilities. One thing that I would like to say, we've got 75 sex offenders in the county that are on the register. We had 10 updates. Our average population for the jail was 60. Our highest population was 71. The number of meals served at the county jail at the detention center was 5,301. The total cost of the meals were $6,343.16. This is about an average cost of $1.20 per meal. We're in the process of trying to figure out how we can cut the cost just a little bit and get that lowered. If we can get her down just a little bit, we'll save a little bit more money there. Total miles driven for the month for the deputies was 13,958. Total gallons of fuel that were used was 925, and the total miles per gallon, if you average them all together, the miles per gallon came out to 15.9 miles per gallon. In the metro, the deputies traveled 2,977 miles. They used approximately 261 gallons of fuel, and their miles per gallon are 11.39, which if you're in the city, it's going to be lower. I would like to say that we're trying to find areas to cut cost, and one of the areas of cutting cost, we have explored and checked in on buying fuel cards, getting fuel cards. They don't cost us anything, but there's a fuel card that is a fleet card that is assigned to each one of the vehicles that they have, and it allows you to charge fuel or an oil change. It's strictly vehicle related, and they will give us I believe it was a 3 cents discount on each gallon of fuel that we buy. So we're tossing that possibility around as an avenue of saving money. I think last month I told you that we were stripping all the old cars at the sheriff's office, getting all the old equipment out of them. We got that done. We're in the process. We've talked to Brady Madden about coming up sometime where the weather changes. We're going to try to sell all the vehicles that we can get rid of, or we've also, the guns that are in evidence that we can get rid of, we're going to sell those as well. Time and vehicle apps, something that Miss Jackie Wallace has come up with it was new to me, a way to save money at the sheriff's office whenever the deputies and the jailers, if you will, go 10-8 or they start to work. There's a time stamp. There's an app that you can get on your telephone that will time stamp that. And whenever they go 10-7 or go out of service, it time stamps that. So it kind of takes the time sheet out of the equation. It does it for you. And it sends you the times. It sends you a report of each day that they checked in. And it's also got a built-in vehicle report that whenever you get oil change or get fuel in your car, you enter that in there and it'll run a monthly report as well. So it's been interesting. We're exploring all ways to try to save money.
I got one question.
Yes.
Greg, could that be used? One of the questions we talk about sometimes is in Metro for the actual hours, policing Metro. Something like that.
Yeah, they're entering their hours now.
Yeah.
But the problem is if we have to send them out to Ralph to do something, it takes them out of the city.
And one other thing, what are DLC now prisoners costing? Is it 30
The
or
cost, they're paying
back?
They're paying us $40 a day.
$40, so that went up then.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
since you're talking about using that app on the phone, are we not using the computers that we got a grant for that got installed?
Absolutely.
And what is the other question? When I'm looking at the E91 report, there was 94 license plate checks. I thought the computer in the car the officer could check those license plates themselves.
They can. But
Why would they call 911 to do that then?
the computers in the car, their hotspots were not working properly. The hotspots is what enables them to log on to a cell tower to do this remotely.
I'm sure there are areas like top of James Hill, it's hard to get service. But one of the things when we were talking about these, the officer that came to talk to us about them, y'all were gonna have hotspots. That's part of the cost of it. Is that not correct?
It is now. We've got it in, it's come with the cell phone plan. So we've got it, yes.
I got one other question.
Yes, sir.
Last year, 6-7 months ago, we talked about, we went over to Baxter County and looked at their fine reporting system. And last year, when we asked for a status, we were informed that it was implemented and running. What is the status of that? Inputting the crimes and people paying penalties. There was an automated system that was going to be installed that day. We were told last year it was installed. It's very similar to Baxter County.
If I understand right, that they have gotten, and I believe we talked about this is the same computer program.
Yeah.
They have got that almost up and running.
Okay.
Yes, but it wasn't as of the end of the year, but Miss Sherry has since uploaded everything and it should be able to be utilized now.
As of March 1st, is there a timeline?
I'm saying probably February. This month we're starting to use that.
Being generous, March 1st.
March 1st. Yes, March 1st.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those for?
Aye.
Against? Library report? Fair board? Road report. 34 roads graded, 274 loads of material hauled. Attempted some brush cutting before the snowstorm. And then we had spreader trucks out and the graders for the snow and ice. And then last Tuesday morning, it's not in this report, but we had the tornado come through southwest part of the county, had 9 county roads blocked. And the road crew showed up by 4:30 in the morning and cleared those roads and just completely outdid themselves. Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
What did Jay make the motion? He's asking for a motion.
I'm reading
That'll be fine.
I'm reading the road report.
I'll make the motion.
Any discussion? All those for? Against? The quarry had 16 days work, 589 man hours, 274 loads, 4,932 tons. Total tonnage crushed for the month, 6,825, and the tonnage that left was 5,004. Any questions?
What is that, at the very bottom?
The Legion Hut,
Yeah.
they had 4 loads taken out there. Also discussed, we have the military coming in town to do that. The doctor again at the high school, along with the eye, and Have a Heart does a lot of parking for that. So we have talked to Mr. Hudson and Mr. Davenport, and we're going to do 87 ton, correct, sir?
It's completed.
Oh, it's already wonderful.
Great shape. We got about 90 parking spots, 365.
That's great. So we took gravel out there to set them up for the traffic coming in for that. Any questions? Motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All is for?
Aye.
Against? Solid waste, we have had some issues with the e-waste. We're in between on it was the state, correct?
Yes.
The state, and what we're going to do with that and finding the next without having just to put it straight into the trash. So we've had 37.39 tons so far year to date, but we're working with the state on the e-waste. Any questions?
Motion.
Discussion? All those for?
Aye.
Against? Fire chief's report.
Sorry, Chief Roberts wasn't able to make it, so I'll give it forward. The report that we gave to you for the room report will stand as submitted. Just kind of an upgrade, summary of what we discussed at the last meeting. OEM came, we discussed some of the updates, basically stuff, which I know we've met. I know he presented with some new numbers that we had with our tower that we came up to a little issue with. I believe that'll be discussed later. You may have some information on it. But, just trying to get everything up to date. I think we're trying to get it. Power is our biggest thing right now. Trying to get everything powered up, get the antennas mounted, get the towers in service. We're looking, hoping about a month out, I would say. The generators, everything's ordered, everything's in route, just trying to get it all put together. Power from energy to the tower sites is kind of what we're waiting on. So once we get that, and the licensing is still an issue, so we got a little bit of time, but everything's been going fairly well. So, there's an update on both sides of that.
Thank you.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All's for?
Aye.
Against? Budget committee.
Yes, we had a meeting on February the 14th. The minutes are attached in the packet. How do you want us to do that? Do you want us to read the minutes or what?
I don't necessarily need you to read the minutes.
Okay, well, they are in the packet.
Okay,
We'll
thank you.
Make sure of that. And basically, we did forward some stuff for Quorum Court to be voted on, but we didn't forward it all. But we'll be planning another meeting probably within the next couple of weeks.
Motion.
Motion.
Discussion?
I'm reading.
All's for?
Aye.
Against? Personnel committee.
Move to accept as submitted.
Oh, no, there's a problem. One, my name's wrong.
Yeah, well, okay, that's good.
A lot. And then, the second thing is, it's 60 days, wasn't it?
That was corrected in ordinance.
Okay, perfect. That's it.
All right.
Thanks.
Mo- Did I get a second?
You second?
You got a second.
I said,
Discussion? All those for?
aye.
Aye.
Against? Law enforcement committee.
The law enforcement committee met on January the 19th. The minutes are attached. Greg provided some information regarding the sheriff's office and what he would like to see us vote on regarding cars and so forth, and medical information. So we met again at the budget committee meeting, and it is all attached.
Motion.
Motion.
Discussion? All's for?
Aye.
Against? I don't believe we've had a solid waste committee yet. Procedures and management?
We have our minutes.
Say again?
I said, we have our minutes.
Yes, sir. Good?
All right, mine is short and sweet. I voted the secretary. I didn't really want to have to. Mr. Lynch asked for permission to talk to the committee. The issues discussed may be heard by the meeting recording. Marion County Clerk proposed procedural ordinances to reword an ordinance 23001. Copies of proposed ordinance can be acquired by the clerk's office upon request. The issue, as discussed, may be heard on the meeting recordings. The committee picked Justice Reed as chairman. The committee picked Justice White to be the secretary. Justice White stated 3 times, he is a horrible secretary. The recording of the meeting was filed with the judge's office.
Everybody agrees. I like that one. Motion.
Second.
I'll make a motion.
Any discussion?
I'll second that motion.
Yeah.
All those for?
Aye.
Against? Old business, I believe we're back to Justice White with the AAC, correct?
What?
For the old business, replacing you on the AAC committee?
Wrong.
Nominate Rollins.
Oh, yes, I want to nominate Roland. Roland. Did I say it right that time?
Yes.
We're going to that Little Rock. In my place.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Does he accept?
He shook his head yes.
That's a good question.
All those for?
Aye.
Against? All right, new business.
I really need a motion to read by title only.
I want to read it now.
You want to read it now?
You want to read it? I'll read the first one. I'm not going to read them all. It's 23.
I know.
To read them all? I'll make a motion to read by title only.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
All those for?
Aye.
Against?
No.
Read by title only.
Okay.
Title, ordinance number?
This is 2023-2. And this is establishing, this is an amendment to the one that we passed last month. It's adding a few things in that Attorney Russo wanted to see put in place.
This is the procedural ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then there were a few other minor changes, but that's what was basically this is going to say that.
Now, for example, what's the minor change?
Yes. Okay, the public, let's see, where was it?
Did we read the ordinance yet?
I'm working on it.
She asked for
The rules of
clarification.
decorum
Yeah.
is one of the ones, one of the changes that is just saying that, and the rules for the public and the sergeant at arms, and repealing any previous procedural ordinances, and that it will be effective upon passage by the Quorum Court.
Someone read it by title, please.
I'm sorry.
So let's read it by title so we can make a motion, get into discussion phase, and I don't understand what we're trying to do.
An ordinance establishing procedures for the Marion County Quorum Court for fiscal years 2023 and 2024. And this is amending 2023-1.
Okay.
Actually, it's repealing 2023-1.
I make a motion.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion to amend it.
Okay, hang on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Strike out section 6, the rules of the quorum for the Quorum Court. Section 7, the rules of the quorum for the public. That's all covered in Robert's Rules of Order. Our first paragraph discusses Robert's Rules of Order apply to anything that's not covered. This would be a repeat. We don't need it. The chair can, if someone's out of hand, he can give them a fair warning, and if not, then show them where the exit is, except for the Quorum Court members. That's my motion.
Which,
Does that motion need a second?
Yes,
I'll second.
which one did you cross out?
6 and 7.
6 and 7?
Yes, sir.
And
So we would be amending this, cross out 6 and 7.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. If we, before we vote on amending this, if we cross out section 6 and 7, what are the differences between this and the ordinance that we have already passed at that point?
I believe it was included the sergeant at arms and repealing all of the previous ordinances.
Also, the one you have in there too.
We had a change in there.
And our livery of
Yeah, oh, yes. At the office, that any reports, ordinances, or other documents needing to be presented to the justices must be turned into the clerk's office no later than 3:30 PM, 7 days prior to the meeting. Please.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, can I respond to that? Tell me if I can help.
Yes, sir.
If I recall, the ordinance we passed last month, ordinance one, it didn't have, it had the order of business as a title section. It went into committee appointments and per diem be paid and repealed. The changes reduced, removing them plus sergeant at arms. That's all covered in Robert's Rules of Order. And right up front, it says Robert's Rules of Order apply to anything that doesn't apply. So it's covered.
So you,
So are you also taking out section 8? Is that right? The sergeant at arms?
Yeah.
Is that what you're amending out
Yes.
to? Okay,
6, 7, and 8,
okay,
and it's all covered anyway.
okay. I just did that.
weird discussion.
Okay, so is there any further discussion?
Should be.
On the amendment.
Yes, on the amendment.
Yes. Does those sections that are recommended to be removed, are they in conflict with Robert's rules?
But they give,
Or are they just
well,
repeating?
there are two things. This is our meeting. One of them violates our meeting guidelines for a JP being removed. I've never heard of that before unless they're probably fighting with someone. Plus, the decor of public, that's the chair's responsibility. If someone to be as polite to tell them a fair warning, and then if they don't continue, he has the right to say one more. That's what this, we normally should have a sheriff, and we do, that oversees what the chairman wishes. So it's all covered in Robert's Rules of Order. It kind of gives us a point that we're restricting public input or JP's input. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just want to clarify what this ordinance looks like now that we are taking out, section, if it passes, we're taking the amendment, section 6, section 7, and section 8. So basically, all we're adding to the ordinance that we passed at the last meeting is the fact that, the clerk would like the
Right,
reports. Okay.
that's right.
I just want to verify that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, should this say amendment on it anywhere? Amended?
No, because we're repealing all the other ordinances.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if you'd like, I have ordinance 1 that we passed last month. We could make a copy and take a recess for a minute if you need to look at it. But all we're doing is removing them 3 items. And we're adding about the timetable for elected officials to submit their report. That was one of the things we had discussed, that we sat here at a meeting and I have a whole glob of paper we're adding to. Other than that, that's all we're doing.
Yes, sir.
Would it be easier if you wanted to just add the one clause? Wouldn't it be easier to just add that to the other instead of doing all this?
Yeah,
Table it until next month.
I would.
I'll make a motion to lay this on the table indefinitely,
What is this?
this whole amendment. This whole, I guess we,
Okay, hang on.
More motion.
You're amending my motion.
no, I think that my motion takes precedence. The motion to lay on the table, I believe, is precedent over the motion to amend.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to lay on the table indefinitely, which means that we just stop talking about this.
Yeah.
And we can go back to the first one and add the clause that Don wanted. Seems simpler to me,
Okay.
but I need a second still.
You got it.
Okay. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay.
Is the reason that, I apologize, is there a reason why we don't have a voice vote on this?
I'm sorry. Okay, that was I'm taking the hit. Okay, Justice Scrimmage?
Yes, but we're voting.
Wait, yeah.
Wait,
What are we
Whether
voting on?
table the ordinance indefinitely.
This ordinance, yeah.
This
When it-
ordinance.
Okay, yes.
Justice Nichols?
Yes.
Justice Van Kuren?
Yes.
Justice White?
Yes.
Justice Reed?
No.
Justice Hutching?
Yes.
Justice Shipman?
Yes.
Justice Brigham?
Yes.
Justice McCullough?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Want clear? Since this one has been tabled, then the original 2301 is in effect. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 23-3. An ordinance amending ordinance 2298 entitled the annual budget and numbers and compensation for 2023. Basically, the numbers in comp, the current numbers in comp does not reflect the 3% cost of living wage for the judge, sheriff, collector, clerk, assessor, treasurer, and coroner, but it's in the budget. The money's been appropriated, but it didn't get put into numbers of comp. And the same goes for the raise that the Quorum Court gave themselves in 22-100, up to 250. The money's been appropriated, but it is not in numbers of comp. And this, although it was given as requested, that they wanted to see how many, what they were making right this minute, and this ordinance would amend it to read like Exhibit 2. So it's more complex numbers and calculations. That's what it is.
I'll make a motion so we can discuss this.
Can I get a second?
What was the motion, please?
I've got a motion and a second
For?
to adopt.
Up for discussion. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
In what we determined in numbers and comps report, I want to say in late 2021, the numbers and comps sometimes are changing without an ordinance, and no one can figure out what is the current employees. And apparently in the budget, what that should have been done is get those identified as corrections instead of the sheet that was handed to me was returned because it had some positions altered, not per our agreement. So that what we should have in the budget process is a numbers and comps reflecting the changes that are being part of that budget. And that's probably why you've got I thought at the time we were throwing that up in the air about raises, holding off on raises for anybody. That's what I thought, so. And I didn't alter numbers and comps at all. But the report that came to me had some positions that were allocated from one type of pay to another. We didn't have an ordinance on that. And so what's happening is a document's being passed around and there's not an ordinance to back up what it should be. So, and it's quite possible that's what happened in the budget process. Because if I recall, the last meeting we had, we were trying to resolve one department's budget. The elected official did not show up, and we used, if I'm not mistaken, and the budget committee can correct me, we went with the actual figure from the prior year, and they agreed yes, and that's what we did. So, and it's possible that the other races were not included.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to clarify that we are to be looking at Exhibit 2 on this. Is that correct, Dawn?
Yes, that's it.
And the only thing that we are changing on the numbers and comps is for the elected officials.
And the judge.
No, we're elected.
Well,
Yeah.
let's see, okay, it's more of a,
That's why I'm asking, because none of this makes sense.
it's more of the way this is set up, that if we can amend it to this, rather than what you already got, this doesn't tell us all the things that this does. So I would like to amend it so that this tells us everything we need to know.
Which, can I see that? Yes, you're right, Don.
With,
Yeah.
bring up the election commission.
I'm sorry?
The election commission,
Yes,
we need to take that out.
that's right. That was put in there
Exhibit
showing,
1 or 2?
On exhibit 2.
Yeah.
Exhibit 1 does not include, it just includes the employees.
Right.
the elected officials. And exhibit 2 does not need to have in there the, What I tell you?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just to be clarified, and John Russo supported it. When you set up payroll and employees, you have an ordinance. When you change it, you have an ordinance. And what we see going on is we get the numbers and comps as part of the budget, and it's been changed without an ordinance. The ordinance is the budget, and we need to talk about it individually to see if we're approving the changes. And so that the payroll department can now have an official record on what is the existing salary for all the elected officials and employees. For the last couple of years, no one knew it. I think the Quorum Court put it together in 21. No one could tell you who was employed. So this now, what she's saying you'll have a piece of document to support the numbers and comps report.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry for taking up your time.
any more discussion? Justice Nichols,
Yes.
Justice Van Kuren,
No.
Justice White,
Yes.
Justice Reed,
Yes.
Justice Hutching,
Yes.
Justice Shipman,
No.
Justice Brigham,
No.
Justice McCullough.
No.
Motion failed.
Oh,
Motion failed.
You did.
Motion to adopt.
Mike didn't vote.
I'm sorry.
no, that's all right. Don't put me down in the paper.
Justice Scrivener.
No.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna say this.
Hold on, before we say anything.
Yes, sir.
Nothing to be discussed. We voted. We need to move to the next item.
Yes, sir. Next item.
Okay. Oh, this is ordinance 23-4. The ordinance amending the annual operating budget for the Marion County Detention Center, numbers and ordinance number, well, that's in the past. This is amending for the funding and selecting a new healthcare provider for the Marion County Detention Center. Does not have any. In the amount of $110,000 for the medical provider Turnkey Health.
Are we correcting that blank that's on there?
Where it says ordinance 2023 dash.
Should be 22. 2299. 98. 2298.
2298. I'll make a motion so we can discuss this.
I'll second.
It's already seconded, I'm waiting for you guys to talk.
I'll make a motion, discussion. Greg, are you, in the jailing of city employees and with health, would that now be reflected on the charges? Because I understand we can charge city prisoners, charge the city for the city prisoners requiring health.
I believe that is correct, since we charge the ADC.
Yeah.
For, actually,
And
they
it's very-
reimburse us, yes.
I'm sorry for interrupting. It's very clear to charge the cities and let the cities worry about the collection of the city prisoners versus us charging the prisoners and now us having to try and collect from them. We can bill the city.
I believe that's correct.
Yes. Would that be the plan? Would that be part of the, did you do
It would
that?
not be part of this, but it would be something that the sheriff's, the detention center can
Okay,
do itself.
okay.
And we have, since I'm yakking here, we have a representative from Turnkey here, if you would like to visit with him. His name is Danny Hickman. He's a former JP in Boone County, and he's also the former sheriff of Boone County. And he now works for Turnkey organization. And if you would like to visit with him just a little bit, he is here to answer your questions about it.
Thank you.
I would like to have you tell us why we need this 110,000 a year when we've never had to have it before.
Well, I'll gladly tell you.
Okay.
In the past, when our jailers have been administering medicines to the inmates, they have been covered by the Association of Counties because the Association of County had a malpractice insurance policy that would cover our personnel. Okay. As of January the 1st, that went away. And it went away because some very high payouts that the association had to do. One of them was Washington County, I believe. The other one was Lee County. Was that the other one, David? St. Francis County. The county general had to pay out in St. Francis County close to $2 million for a malpractice suit. Turnkey will come in and they will do away with the provider that we're paying $3,000 a month for right now, who has litigation against him now for things that he didn't provide. Now, Turnkey will come in, they're going to supply a registered nurse of the morning and one of the evening to distribute the medicines out to the inmates. So it's going to eliminate us from doing that. And in addition to the nurses, they've got a doctor, one or two doctors on staff. Please come up and clarify this, please.
and Greg's right on most of that. Like I said, my name is Danny Hickey. Like I said, I was JP for 8 years in Boone County and sheriff for 14 and served as over jail standards for a couple. And then eventually I went for fraternity. Excuse me, I've had pneumonia for the last 3 weeks, so I'm a little weak.
Where's my badge?
And Greg, sheriff is right. The risk management AAC, they did shut down all this and mainly, like he was saying, but mainly for any W-2 employees that are nurses or doctors that the counties had, their risk management would no longer handle those because the malpractice insurance is so extremely high and litigation is just went out the roof then. Years ago, Mike Rainwater, I don't know, I'm sure most of you have heard of Mike Rainwater, great guy. He's saved my tail end many times. But he put out a statement that the counties should get out of the medical business. Medical business, you know, at one time, you know, we did a lot of things as sheriffs. You know, the jailers, they passed out meds, and that's one thing that always bothered me is there was no really control. You know, they just John Doe, he gets these pills, and this guy gets these pills, and you don't know what's what. Then you end up having somebody back then had narcotics, and a jailer would end up kind of helping himself with that, so that caused problems. So it's just basically trying to come down to controlling your medical costs. What we will do, and Greg, I'm going to correct you, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
We will provide a nurse for 25 hours a week. That nurse will come in and do the morning med pass, and she will prepare the meds for the jailers to take during the evenings. And we will monitor that. We'll have a provider that will come in. I say come in, we'll be doing telemed because I think most of y'all probably, I've even do telemed to see my doctor sometimes. That's just the thing. We'll do telemed at least once a week. When the nurse is not there, there's a protocol list that starts at our regional nurse and goes clear up to our chief of staff that say at midnight, there's somebody having what I call a jailhouse heart attack, which is blood pressure is 120/80, but he's had his heart attack, be able to talk to that nurse or clear up to the chief of staff. There will be a small sheet of paper that we would ask the jailers to fill out, and it would also include maybe taking blood pressure. We will train them on all that stuff, but we want to take away most of this if we can from the county. We will be able to slow down with each stop. We'll be able to slow down emergency room calls and all that. We're still going to have some of that. You were talking about cost.
Yes, sir.
Most of the counties we're in 18 counties, and right now I'm talking with Baxter County, and Sharp County, Arkansas County, and Clark County about coming on board. But we do ask that the county pass an ordinance to do a copay on anybody that sees the nurse, medications, or the doctor. That will offset a little bit. You're getting a little back, but you know you can do things like that. Any questions?
Can you explain a little bit better about that? I thought somewhere within the laws that prisoners do have payback on their meds and things like that.
Do what, sir?
On the laws, I thought there was that the prisoners have to have a payback for any of the medication and like that they take.
That they have to pay back?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I've never heard of a law like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, if an inmate's indigent, you know, you have to provide medical care for them. But there's also a little loophole there, and I think you are on, you have commissary?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That commissary, if Tom Jones comes in 2 or 3 times, say as your local oldest, and he has no money, then the 4th time he comes in, you get $500. Well, that commissary should zap that up and take care of what he owes right there.
Sir, the way, in what I read, is for cities, we're housing city prisoners.
Yeah.
We bill the city for the costs.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're paying
Okay.
the cost of city prisoners where we're absorbing our cost for county prisoners. So that it refers to cities that they can be billed, the city gets it billed, and then let them see how they're gonna collect it.
I understand that.
Okay, thank you.
That's only until it's been before a judge.
Yes, sir.
Is that still 48 hours?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was, okay, now, if I understood this right, the nurse will work 25 hours a week. Okay, so that's gonna leave the jailers giving medicine at night,
Yes, well, and on weekends.
okay?
But the nurse will prepare the meds.
Okay,
It'd be in a little pack, and it'll say whatever name it is, and they will have to identify that. I think you have Guardian, don't you?
Yes.
And that's logged in on Guardian, so it's all logged in and watched. That's the only thing they'll be able to touch in that med cart is those little packs, nothing else.
okay, now, what if a prisoner gets sick that night and there's no nurse there?
All right, like I said, there's a protocol list to go by. It starts
So
with
if
our
we
original nurse, it goes right up the list. You know, if she's not available, it goes up to the provider, clear up to our chief of staff. Which our chief of staff is very well, not all our people are very well. I mean, they will determine that, yeah, they say, it's really nothing, maybe heartburn, let's just say that, or a jailhouse heart attack, or, you know, the nurse will see them tomorrow, and then the nurse will determine from that. Even though a nurse is not there, you're still gonna get somebody helping you. I mean, I can build this program if you want 24-hour a day nurse, and I can build it, but I promise you, it's too expensive. I understand your money problems and stuff, and I think I put together something here that would work for this county. I know there's some other counties about your size that still the same works. Now, in this proposal, everything we do, we try to make sure the inmate stays there in jail. X-rays and laboratory. We have a company that comes to the jail that takes X-ray within probably 20 minutes. The provider knows what's going on. And any off calls like that, whatever the price is for us, it's your price. We do not charge on any of that stuff. I think X-rays are like $50. I mean, they come to your jail, they take the X-ray, and they're out of there, and the provider, they know what the problem is just shortly after that.
And you
Laboratory, do what I mean?
And you pay for that?
No, it's off. We will, all of our bills, any inmate that goes off services or anything like that, we make sure the bill is scrubbed down where it's, we have Medicaid rates. And we make sure that matches Medicaid rates, but that service there is like $50 an image. And, it will be it'll be scrubbed, it'll be sent to the county for that. I mean, I can add it to the cost, but I think this is the easiest way to do it.
110,000 is pretty steep. Yeah.
Well, ma'am, just like Greg was saying, St. Francis County is probably about your size, but when they dipped into their county budget for $2 million, which is cheap.
Right.
So, medical is a situation where you pay me now, pay me later. Yes, sir.
Sheriff Alexander, are we currently in compliance with state jail standards for inmate health care?
We are.
Would this enhance that health care program?
Well, it would help it, yes.
Do we have insurance now?
No.
we don't have malpractice insurance. This will provide the malpractice insurance.
This will provide our people that take care of you, malpractice insurance. And the, any litigations that come before you, we will identify the county on any medical, lawsuits, especially, as long as they're not deliberately indifferent. Yes, ma'am.
This is for Sheriff. Did you check to see, is this for 1 year? Are you having to sign a 3-year contract?
It is a 3-year contract, and there's a clause in there that if we decide to back out, we can back out. I think it's 30 days, or if you decide to back out, it's 30 days.
Have you identified how you're gonna be paying for that after this year?
After this year, we had planned on pulling money out of ARPA for next year, and that would give us 2 years running. And then we will have to start saving, well, this year, we need to start saving to pay it for the 3rd year.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Oh, right here.
And if an incident happens and there's no nurse, it's up to the jailer to determine to pursue upper channels for care.
It's up to the jailer to call our provider. The provider will need to take over.
Okay.
Yeah. And, we'll train the sheriff's people, even like CPR and stuff like that. Any medical training that they want or need, we're more than happy to train them. That's just part of it.
Okay.
I started 7 years ago with them, with those counts. I have 18 counties right now. And this company, when I started, they were in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. They're in 9 states now. We have 96 counties that we deal with. So we know what we're doing. And, as long as I'm on board, I want to take care of my people. My people being my clients. Make sure that things are done right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I don't wanna, I'm just gonna speak this one time about the spending that's on here.
Yes, sir.
But what I just heard was, we're proposing 110,000 this year from the tribal fund, 110,000 next year from ARPA. We're gonna start saving 110,000 from somewhere in the meanwhile, so we can pay for it on the 3rd year. And I'm going to say that by the things that I've looked at, if we pass this money, that $1.7 million roughly we're being asked to spend tonight, where will we get the 110,000 to save? Where would that come from? Where would we tap in to save that money? That would be my question I would pose on the 3rd year.
Yes, sir.
What I have concerns about is I looked at the 911 report and no one's been mentioning this. In fire departments, there's a lot of scuttlebutt going around. Last September, we had a meeting with the executive director of the new communications board in Little Rock. He come up here and was going over our system. And the sources are saying it's a big political poker, that they're gonna be making the funding agencies. We had a presentation last year that was totally, people weren't listening to the message. The funding agencies, as the phone companies, whatever cell phone companies, they now want, when you dial 911, they want a 911 operator. And I'm seeing, looking at the 911, several items that are being done for sheriff's office. And there's a portion of that really budget should be transferred into 911. And I'm thinking at some point in time, the funding agencies are gonna start holding back their money. And that's starting to concern me, like Talent saying, we're gonna start future spending, and we're not preparing. If 911 comes in and says, you will be a separate building or a separate facility, well, we haven't, it's never been planned that way, but it'll have to be dealt with 911 dispatchers and law enforcement dispatchers. And right now, we don't have that. That's gonna require extra money to keep it running. That concerns me.
Yes, sir.
I want to give someone a chance to answer my question. 110,000 this year from the travel, 110,000 next year from ARPA. And we're gonna save 110,000 starting now to pay for it on the third year. And with all this proposed spending, where will we tap into to save that 110,000 for this third year? If anybody could answer.
Well, let's talk. We have been working on the budget for the sheriff's office.
Thank you, sir.
Sheriff, before you get started, I'd like to address Justice McCurn's comments.
Yes,
Which I think are very good. But where would we get the money if we're sued?
Where would we got the money if we were sued yesterday?
Well, we don't have any risk abatement insurance now. So if we're sued, where do we get that money?
I guess this is what I would tell you, is that it's not my responsibility to make executive decisions for the county or for the jail. It is my responsibility to be fiscally responsible with this budget, and that's what I'm attempting to do here.
Thank you.
Let's make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding that, okay, there's a 30-day, I forgot now what he said, 10 days or something, clause where it can be done away with. 30 days, okay. We don't have money, we won't pay it. It's what it will boil down to.
that's what it boiled down to.
Yeah. I don't really like taking all our money, like the ARPA money or whatever, and giving it all to the sheriff's office, because we have other county offices. That's my biggest complaint. Plus the fact we don't know if we're gonna get it every year. They may say we are, but we don't know what they're going to do. But that would be one thing we could do, is just not do it anymore, but then I'm concerned regarding the loss, in case we get sued. I don't want to be like St. Francis or Washington County.
Yes, ma'am.
I am just glancing at your budget, and I have just glanced at it.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have the travel money, you have it projected as $165,000, but this, you're only using 110, so where's the 55,000 of that travel money are you planning on spending and for what?
Well, the 167 of the travel money was going to the chief deputy position and the other two deputy positions.
In your dreams?
In my dreams, yes, ma'am. And then where you
I mean,
look,
because we have not brought those up yet or voted for them, so.
no, we haven't.
Right.
We-
That's why and I apologize if that was rude, I didn't mean it like that.
That's
but
it. It
I'm
wasn't.
meaning that we have not discussed those yet.
We have not. We haven't.
So you're planning on all of the travel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the 110, if you will look at the appropriations for the detention center, the 110,000 is listed there for the travel. 110,000 out of it.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a clarifying question, Sheriff. Did you just say that you wanted to use the travel money to fulfill positions?
Yes,
Okay,
but just like Ms. Clark, Justice Brigham said, we hadn't got there yet. That
okay,
was my dream, yes.
two-part. If we start budgeting one-time money
Okay, that was.
for a reoccurring expense, like an employee, when the one-time money is gone, we have to pay for that still from somewhere. And so, again, we're proposing tonight roughly $1.7 million in spending. And in the next couple years, we're gonna have to pay for that. So I'm not understanding how in 3 years from now, we're going to sustain this.
Are we talking about the positions, or are we talking about the healthcare?
Let's just talk about the
The
position.
health.
Now, let's just say, let's do the healthcare. The healthcare, where are we getting 110,000?
If we pull the 110,000 out of the tribal money, the tribal.
Year one.
Year one.
Okay,
Okay. And we've got it for year two. Year three, we're gonna have to come up with some money, or we're gonna lose.
okay, we're gonna have to do that for healthcare and those two positions.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to come up with $400,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, just looking at this, is there a reason you did away with the 2 Metro part-timers?
I just left them off. No, I have not done away with what, they're still here. I just didn't add them here because I hadn't utilized them.
Well, I know that the city pays you for those, so wouldn't it make sense to go ahead and have them? Because they could be used in Ralph if there was a.
Absolutely, yes. But since Sean Mayor Lane has not been paying for those, we haven't been charging for them. I just left them off for the time being. They're still out there in the county, or the city is still paying for them. And
If you feel that.
if we build them, then we got them.
He's been paying more.
No, he's paying for the 2 officers we have, not the part-time.
Not
position.
Yes.
I understood. what you're
Yes.
saying.
I'm
Okay. I'm echoing, what Justice Talon is saying. I know the government has said we're gonna get that tribal money next year. When we got the treasurer's report tonight, did you see where we got a FEMA check from 2018?
I've seen.
Yeah, that was her report, 2018, and it was for almost maybe $4,000. And you expect us to pull out 110 if we get that tribal money next year. I know it says we're gonna get it for 22 and 23 and 24.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I see a more glaring issue. You're still getting county general, not you, I don't misunderstand you, of over 500,000 to support law enforcement. That's coming out of county general every year, whether it gets there or not. And then you take now another 4, it's almost $1 million of support, and you're looking for growth. It scares me I thought the 500,000, I said, wait a minute, it's still there. Now we're still gonna be eroding that county general fund of 500,000 and still some for the jail. This is only for law enforcement, right?
Only brought, you got the jail in there, yes, in behind.
Yeah, but I'm saying, the jail used some money, but what scares me is we're taking 3 funds of $1 million and hoping that we're now gonna play catch up. We're already behind the 8 ball. Last year, we raised county general funds, 400,000 to meet the law enforcement budget. We went from 118 to 518. Now we're doing 507 plus over 400,000. That's 900,000. And we're saying the money we're gonna collect on a projected we're gonna collect. I'm not comfortable with this at all because unfortunately, you're talking, some of the departments have high labor come January 1st, they're eroding the county general funds immediately. And county general, we've preached this and preached this, no offense to the sheriff's office, but the way his department is, it's inherently labor, it takes a lot of the labor costs. Right off the bat, right in January, that's why we had trouble, I think it was February, March, we had to come up with 250,000 to meet the payroll that month. And I'm concerned because I thought, I said, oh man, then I said, wait, a minute. Well, I'm getting really scared because we haven't, that 500,000 is still gonna be taken out every month, every year. Huh. And we have to.
Well, I haven't figured out how to subsidize county general for the sheriff's office yet,
Well,
but I'm working on it.
Well, here's what's we preach this and it just gets ignored. Not you, Greg.
Yeah.
I'm not directing this at you. Is that a cash flow report would show what our problems are and it points it out. Our problem is now, we had trouble with cash flow in the beginning and that's why we ran out of money in February or so. Now we're gonna be taking, I thought, oh, that's pretty good, we're getting down, it's still there, that scares me, because we're eroding county general funds. That's why I asked you about offsetting the health costs with having the cities pay for, having them pay for it and let them go collect, try to give some supplemental income, so we don't have a cash flow problem. It's not at the end of the year we meet the budget, it's during the year that we have the revenue to meet the expenses. I'm concerned.
See, it wasn't only 3 years ago that we had a major cash flow problem. And the general fund was getting depleted, and that is payroll. And if we can't pay our employees, then there's really an issue. But we put a hiring freeze, put a wage freeze on. And we made it through it. And now with subsidies like ARPA and the coronavirus and tribal, here we're going crazy. But once again, these funds are not going to rejuvenate. These are just right there. And I can see what Talon's saying is when we run out of the money, are we going to have to lay all these people off?
If we don't have the money to pay them, we'll have to.
Yeah, but that,
Yes, ma'am.
but that falls back on us because we were not responsible with, we were not reasonably responsible for the money, for the county's money. People will say it was our fault.
Sheriff, what are we doing now up there with, giving the medicine and so forth? What's going on now?
The drugstore brings the medicine over in blister packs.
Okay.
And the jailers themselves are popping the pills out and say, okay, he gets a ibuprofen, he gets a Tylenol, he gets this, and they're popping them out whenever they go by there. There's nothing that, what scares me is if you're allergic to Tylenol and they give you a Tylenol, then we have a reaction. I mean, that's on us.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's gonna be on the county. And that's where that malpractice.
Giving the wrong medicine.
Absolutely. And then I misinformed you a while ago, but it was because of my ignorance. I thought there was a nurse coming of a morning and one of the evening to disperse the medicine. But apparently they put them in blister packs, if that's the way I understood it. So you've got 4 pills in one little package and you hand it to the inmate. I didn't.
Yes, ma'am.
I could be mistaken, but does Baxter County have nurses on staff in their jail? Do you know how they manage their health?
Currently, they do. They've got 2 LPNs on their staff. So I don't want to speak out of turn for them, but they're in the.
Yeah.
They're talking with them.
No, I know, he mentioned that,
Oh.
and I got that, so, yeah.
Yes, they do have them on staff.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, do you get any reimbursement from the state for health care for 309s and DOC?
Yes, sir. Yes, we do. We do. We get paid back when we take them to the doctor. There's a HSR form, I believe what they call it, that they have to approve it before they can go to the doctor. Now then, for medicines, I don't know that anybody has submitted reimbursement claim for medicine lately. And I mean, lately, we haven't found where they have. So we've been paying for medicine for inmates, for DOC inmates, and not getting reimbursed for it.
The,
Yes, sir.
the potential of lawsuit looms big in my mind. Your current provider, has he been sued?
I believe, if I understood right, when I was in Little Rock, that he has 9 or 10 litigations pending against him at this time. Yes, he has been sued.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion? Going to vote on adopting. Justice Van Curran,
No.
Justice White,
No.
Justice Reed,
Yes.
Justice Hutchie.
No.
Justice Shipman.
No.
Justice Brigham. Brigham.
Bergman, whatever.
Yeah.
Bergman, whatever. Gloria. Justice
Yeah, Gloria.
Justice McCullough. Justice Scrima.
No.
Justice Nichols.
No.
Motion failed. Okay. Ordinance 2023-5. In order to amend the annual operating budget for the Marion County Sheriff's Office, numbers and compensation ordinance number 2022-98. And this amendment is the creation of 3 new deputy sheriff's positions in the Marion County Sheriff's budget. It will add 1 chief deputy positions and 2 deputy sheriff positions to the existing budget. In the amount of $164,392.76. The chief deputy would be paid $19 an hour. The 2 full-time positions would be $18 per hour. And the amounts include all the benefits and expenses. And you have to say it out loud so I can hear it.
Use my ears.
He's whispering to me.
I know.
This is Joe Biden.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Problem I got with this is I've kept quiet over the years, and every time I do, turns out somebody starts sticking around saying I'm against the sheriff's office. I'm not. I'm 100% for the sheriff's office. The problem I have with this is right now, Marion County is a Class 2 county. We're sitting with 8 deputies now, and we have a $534,000 payout every year in just hourly wages. If we take these 2 more deputies in, or there's 3 more deputies in, it's gonna put us with 10 deputies. We're gonna be tied for second place of the highest county of the 27 counties. We'll be in third place with 10 deputies. Third from the highest. And we'll be tied with 4 other counties. That's it, out of 27. That means there's gonna be about 23 other counties out there that have 8 deputies or less and pay a lot less money. Adding this $164,000 to it is gonna increase the total hourly wages for the sheriff's office to right at $700,000. That's a big jump from $534,000 the way it sits right now. And I just have a problem with not understanding why a small county such as us is rushing to be the most expensive on anything.
Can I,
Go ahead.
can I say?
Yeah, you can.
It is true that we are a class 2 county. Yes. That's for 6 months out of the year. From May or the latter part of April till October, look at the influx of people that we have coming into the county. We grow from a class 2 county, up to whatever, a class 5 county, if you will. During the summertime, when our population has grown so much, the parks are full, the lake's full. People are running amok. And that's also when the highway department does their counts, their vehicle counts. That's when the strips are across the road for them to count how many vehicles are coming and going. That's because during the summertime, they base their money off the number of the traffic count for our county. So whenever they don't do it in December, they do it in the summertime. And I'm saying that the justification in my mind is that we grow from a class 2 to a class 5 in the summertime, and we're still answering the same calls with the same number of people. And we're having to go help the Park Service or go to Oakland and help the Park Service up there. The Corps of Engineers. We need to help. I agree we're a class 2 county 6 months out of the year, but the other 6 we're not.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what Mr. Tadero did. He's our comptroller. And the papers that he put together and everything, I appreciate this very much, and I will be reviewing them. And I have also heard things that our budget is not correct. We don't know how much money we have at this point. I am so uncomfortable with how much money we have at this point that it's really hard for me to spend any money out of our budget. I don't feel like that, I feel like we're gonna have to look at this and see what we've got and where we're at before we can spend money. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. And I do appreciate that you put this together because we wouldn't have had it otherwise.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned something, and I'll agree with you 100%. This is a class 2 county, and in the summer it grows. However, having said that, the bull shows, the areas that have paved roads get more traffic. Most of the traffic goes over to Yellow, goes to Mountain Home. It's probably a class 10 because of the traffic, and they're waiting in line just to get in Mickey D's. What I've always was disturbed about is the county has done little to invest in the businesses driving, and today's boats are $80,000-$90,000, and they won't go down a gravel road. So I agree with you, the area grows, but the area that grows a lot is that campground and Bull Shows. You can hardly get in it, and that goes to Baxter County. I'm agreeing with you, the influx is great. It's unfortunate we can't use that as a supplement to us. They have, if I recall, Baxter County has a city sales tax during a certain time frame to support the jail. Oh yeah, from April through September, October. Yes, they do.
They do.
John Montgomery passed that.
Yes,
Yes, thank you.
I agree with Justice Joyce. My reservation is the same as with the healthcare, is the fact that it's coming out of one-time money. If we can figure out a way for an ongoing expense to continue to be paid, you've got my support.
Well, thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Greg.
Any further discussion? We're gonna vote to adopt Justice White. We're voting to adopt
Oh, no.
Justice White. Justice Reed,
Yes.
Justice Hutching,
No.
Justice Shipman,
No.
Justice Brigham,
No.
Justice McCullough,
No.
Justice Scrimmah.
No.
Justice Nichols,
No.
Justice Van Kuren.
No.
Motion carries. Okay, 23-6, an ordinance amending the annual operating budget, 2298, and this is the appropriation to transfer funds for the purchase of a fleet of 7 vehicles and related expenses for each vehicle necessary for law enforcement in the amount of $290,738. And then a conversion kit package, which would be total of $54,184. And then the total amount of money, yes, it would be $348,922.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Yes, sir.
This issue right here, back in December and January, Budget Committee talked to Sheriff Alexander over there. Our concern on getting 7 vehicles at one time is that means at some point in the near future, you're gonna get 7 more cars at one time. What we suggested then and felt right in doing was to go for 4 cars. Then get the 4 cars in, get them in on the road, wait a while, and get the other 3 cars. That way you're splitting them up, that way that the county won't get stuck with 7 cars coming up every 2 years. We have to spend $348,922 for them. And my cousin just bought a truck, just almost like mine, and his was $10,000 more than mine was 2 years ago. So in 2 years, that's gonna be $15,000 more for every vehicle we look at. This is money again that we advised all the way through to drop it down to 4 cars, but spread the cost out. We know we have to get cars, we know that, but 7 cars at one time is a long-term mistake. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff Alexander, do you have 7 vehicles at this time that need replacement?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I concur with the management decision, the concept of managing the vehicles in an incremental way. I believe that's good management and it's good risk assessment. My only belief is that's the sheriff's decision, that the court should go ahead. I support this ordinance, and we should allow the sheriff to manage his department appropriately.
Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
I guess I'm dishonest. You said I wasn't gonna talk anymore.
No, go ahead, sir.
This poses the same issue that I have with all the other spending, is that I've spoke with the sheriff and he has a plan to rotate 5 new cars every year over a course of 5 years, which allows the county to keep a 5-year warranty on every vehicle that they have at the sheriff's office. We spend one-time money buying vehicles. At some point, we have to, if we're going to implement that plan, we have to have the money to buy the 5 vehicles without the one-time money. And if we don't come up with the plan now, if you'll bear with me for a second, I'll make my point. If we use one-time money to buy cars today, then it leaves open money in county general that can be filled with other means. Because we forget that we used the one-time money for the cars this year. So county general still has unappropriated money. We fill that unappropriated money with positions. And then when we need the next set of cars, we can't go anywhere to get any money. We know that the cars are going to be a recurring expense. So we should plan for the future, and we should take them out of money that reoccurs the same as the expense.
Yes, sir.
I think that's wise, and I think it's well stated. But this is American Rescue money, which will sunset December 31st this year if we haven't committed it.
No, it's
So,
not.
ma'am,
It's not. 24.
We
It
have
must
to
be
ex-
spent, and it must be spent.
it has to be
in
committed
26.
by 24, which
Right.
is December 31st, 23. So,
No, it's,
End of.
I mean, I could be wrong. Mr. Russo can correct me, but I think it has to be committed by the end of the 24 and then spent by 26.
it's my understanding, according to the Treasury final rule, that it has to be expended or
I could be
committed by
wrong.
23 and expended by 26.
Yes, sir.
Other counties have taken the ARPA money and they've paid payroll with it. And then they get to save the money that they saved by paying payroll. They can put it in an account that doesn't expire. They can use it however they want later. That's my understanding. So we don't have to use the ARPA money on these big things. We can actually, if it were my personal budget at home, which is the way that I'm going to treat this, I would rather cover payroll and then have the money free to use anything without stipulations. And that's the way that I understand it can be used, which to me personally is a much better option. There's way less regulation on it.
That makes perfect sense, but we have an immediate need. How do we address the immediate need?
Again, it's not my responsibility to make executive decisions for the county or the sheriff's office. It's my responsibility to make sure that I'm fiscally responsible with this budget, and that's what I'm attempting to do.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
May I say something? May I add that?
Go ahead,
In
sir.
anticipation of the 7 going down to 2s, I have prepared an ordinance to replace the 7 with 5. If I may be allowed to pass this out, is that appropriate? It's for 5 vehicles.
You're going to need 3 sponsors.
We would have to kill this first.
Yes, ma'am.
Justice Reed, this is the packet, the handbook, 50 page that Mr. Russo sent to me, and I am correct.
Okay. Would you state the dates then?
Yeah.
For clarity?
May use for eligible costs during the period that begins on March 3rd, 2021, and ends on December 31st, 24, as long as the awarded funds for the obligations incurred by December 31st of 24.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
No,
Yes, sir.
That's fine, no, because I needed to verify it myself.
Reference to the conversation we've been having, the initial conversation was the $120,000 rescue for medical now. And what happens if we can't fund that? And now we're talking about other one-time expenditures. To me, the important thing is we have employees, we have vehicles, we don't have liability insurance. So we've got all these balls up in the air and we're crossing our fingers. They're gonna land one at a time. And if they don't, we're gonna have major problems, and that's a concern. It's just that we only, unfortunately, we only have X number of dollars. And what's not being said here, no offense to you, Greg, we have other departments for raises and promotions and equipment. They have to be taken into consideration too. And it's not, I realize he's a new sheriff, he's trying to, I have confidence in him, but all them balls are up in the air. If they all land right, we're good. If one doesn't, it's gonna start a snowball effect. I'm concerned that the 500,000 is still in it. Yeah, I didn't realize that when I saw that, that scared me because we're taking that extra 500,000 out of county general to support it every year, and as it increases, it's gonna be more. So I would.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Greg, I was gonna say, let him submit his 5 cars. I would think so.
Yes, sir.
I just want to clarify, I'm not really against the vehicles. I'm not really against getting some new deputies. I'm not at all against the healthcare thing. I'm just against the way that we're going about funding it. That's it.
Correct.
Me too.
I want to clarify that.
Can I make a recommendation? We sit down with the sheriff and go through the whole packet so that we can look at it and look at priorities and say, okay, what's feasible and what isn't?
Yes, sir.
But isn't
Oh.
that what the budget committee did?
No. I'm sorry. No, we did not pass any of these to be brought to the Quorum Court.
Right.
In fact, we didn't say that we would bring them to the Quorum Court, but they are here.
Joyce?
Now, you know,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead, tell them.
I'm running out of
To,
candy.
to clarify what Ms. Joyce said, this is what I believe to have happened.
Okay, let's hear Talon's part.
I believe that initially, the budget committee did send it to the Quorum Court. But then the discussion led to the impression that it was probably best not to, but I don't believe anyone actually formally said, let's not do that.
Yeah.
And that's why they're here.
If I recall, Mr. Chairman, I recall in the conversation, we decided rather than having 4 voted or whatever, presented to the full body.
Yes.
That's what I remember the conversation.
Different meetings.
Yeah.
There were different meetings, but they were from December and January.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just one meeting. Every meeting this came up, we always said 4.
Yeah, we've always said 4.
I would remind the board also that we didn't have this at the budget committee.
Yes, sir.
No, we didn't.
I don't know if I'm allowed to speak or not speak, but it seems to me that this new sheriff is kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. My question to him was, or would be, what did the old sheriff recommend? What did he say he was going to need? And no one knows. He hasn't been here and so forth. Now, in my mind, I do not see, I'm talking about 5 vehicles. Do you think all those 5 vehicles need to be replaced at the same time? Or every deputy our officer going to drive the same amount of miles? It doesn't seem to me that 5 every year is a palatable number. It seems like one's gonna go next year and the one's gonna go the following year and maybe 2 the next year, and they'll kind of seek their own level. That's all I have to say, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
No, that's fine.
Yes, sir.
If I could comment on what Justice Talon said, I completely agree with what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys are here to make sure the county stays south. Okay, we live in the open area, and I believe that I looked at the 2020 census, and we moved here 3 years ago. North of the lake, you got Price Place, Promised Land, and Oakland, which I think according to the Census Bureau is about 10% of the population of Marion County. This new sheriff needs the capability of policing the whole entire county, not just the other 90%. He, if he needs something, you guys owe it to us as residents to make sure you stay financially solvent, but you also owe it to us as residents to make sure we stay safe. And right now in our area, we are not staying safe. People go to bed at night with a gun out, let me tell you, because of all the theft and everything that's going on in our area. And that's twofold for you guys. I completely understand what you're saying, completely. But you owe it to us as residents to make sure you give this gentleman what he needs to enforce the law in this county.
I wholeheartedly believe that these 9 do hold your safety at the highest. But the discussion is they are agreeing with the sheriff on what he needs.
Yeah.
They're just saying that using, again, one-time money that isn't allocated into an annual budget for the sheriff's office, where does it come from in the future? So they're not dismissing, and they're all on board. They're not dismissing the fact that you need it. They're just saying in 3 years,
which is the lowest form of coming into our area to help patrol.
Yes.
They can come in and beat up cars as far as we care. We don't care if they're a new car, but you guys didn't even give him that. That's something to think about.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, I'm gonna respond to that statement. Last year, to meet the sheriff's budget, we increased their budget by $400,000 out of county jail. It went to $518,000. That was supplementing law enforcement expenses. And it jumped $400,000. So that we're not helping is not the issue. The issue is we got a couple, and we did that under the understanding that the DLC prisons were gonna help pay for it, and we all agreed to that. For some reason, they never materialized, but the budget stayed the same. And so the problem we're having is when there is a problem, like Justice Brigham said, we approved the budget, what were you guys thinking about? Now, the whole counties, we came close to shutting down the county. We didn't even know what the problem was. And we were worried about that. We're not arguing what he needs. We're arguing we only have X number of dollars. And we talked about liability insurance. If we don't have that, what happens? Oh my God, we have a car accident. In all fairness to Greg, I've said this to him personally, is that I don't think you know what you inherited. But he did, in all fairness to Sheriff. And as far as the jail budget, we sat there 3 or 4 meetings trying to go through the budget. The last meeting, the former sheriff never showed up. And I gave Greg, the committee agreed to go at last year's figures, and that's what we did. We said, Greg, here's the number to meet. You can arrange them any way you want to, but the bottom line is the one amount. And it's unfortunate, and he's stuck with the problem. We're not disagreeing with him. But if we have a financial problem, and when I saw the 500,000 still in there, I'm concerned because where's it gonna come from? Unless, we can propose a tax increase. Everybody in favor of that? It helps supplement it.
Yes, sir.
I've been quiet through most of this, and I am alive. But I would like to state that I have a lot of respect for our sheriff because he ran for this office knowing that he was going into a mess. And I bet you the mess is bigger than you thought. And as Justice McCullough said, she said, I worry about the money that we have. And a lot of us are worried about the money we don't have. And we are wanting to be able to fund. We have to have a sheriff's department operating. The sheriffs can't run. They have to have a vehicle. And we're not against purchasing vehicles. We're just wondering how we can do all this. And that's all I've got to say about that.
Any further discussion?
I'd like to make one more remark. Okay, we've got the 2 part-time metros. Why don't we have those positions filled and the city will pay for those? And then that would free up a deputy that could go to Oakwood, wouldn't it?
We're working on hiring somebody as quick as we can find.
Well, I think we need to.
Decent. Decent. We're looking for somebody that fit out.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just want to reply to the man from Oakland. And we're moving forward. The old sheriff's gone. This is our new sheriff. And we're thankful for that.
Amen.
For 4 years, the metro position had openings, and the powers that be had meetings with us, members of the court, and the old sheriff, and he told us, you can use the guys that I'm paying for to cover for the county while you put people in your need in the areas that are needed. It was said, it's on public record. It didn't happen. There are alternatives besides throwing money at a problem that can fix it. And ending on a positive note, what we've received tonight from this sheriff, every single report is, it is so much better than what we've got in the past. I'm confident that help is on the way for you.
Now are we done? Okay,
Which one are we talking about?
that's what I'm trying to find out. We have the motion to adopt the 7 vehicles. He's passed out one to provide 5 vehicles. Tell me what you're gonna do.
Point of order. We have a motion second for an ordinance that we need to either pass or fail before we take up another ordinance.
Right?
Unless we amend,
Ma'am,
could we not?
unless you want to make a motion to amend.
Yes, sir.
Here, if I could get out of order just for a second. Here's what I would like to see happen. If anybody else supports this, I'll be happy to make a motion to table this and send it back to the law enforcement committee. But there's an alternative to this. We can sit down and look at our budget and figure out how much money that we can appropriate each year and put into a fund for new vehicles. And to capitalize on Mr. Reed's point, the sheriff can manage it however sees fit. It's this much money going into an account for vehicles. And each year, we can appropriate it, and the sheriff can buy the vehicles that he can afford to buy when he needs a new one. He doesn't have to ask us. It's already appropriated. We agree when we close out the budget. We appropriate, hypothetically, we appropriate $100,000 for vehicles. If he wants to let it build up for 3 years, then at the beginning of the 3rd year, we appropriate $300,000 for vehicles. When he needs one, he goes and gets one. Management's in his hand. That is doable. It's achievable. And when we come up with that plan, then I will support however many we decide that he needs out of this ARPA money now. But to spend the money now with no plan for sustainability in the future, I will not support.
May I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Van Buren?
Yes.
You can't save money in your fund. It'll all roll over into county general.
Correct. So the next year, we have a record of what rolled over, and we just reappropriate it each year.
I wanted to get that clarified.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a sustainable plan. That's doable. And it leaves all the management in his court. So I'll motion to table this and send it to, or I'll motion to send it back to law enforcement committee.
Need a second?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Who seconded? I didn't.
Scrimmel, Justice Scrimmel.
Okay. This is now the motion's table.
Well, actually, it's the motion to send back to law enforcement.
Table and send back to the law enforcement.
Yes. You can put, I don't think table is
That's how it's gonna be
necessary.
written in the
Okay,
minutes.
fair enough.
Justice Reed,
No.
Justice Hutching,
Yes.
Justice Shipman,
Yes.
Justice Brigham.
Yes.
Justice McCullough,
Yes.
Justice Scrimmel,
Yes.
Justice Nichols,
Yes.
Justice Van Kuren.
Yes.
Justice White.
Yes.
Okay.
Ordinance 2023-7. This is amending the annual operating budget and numbers and comp. This is allowing the sheriff's department or the detention center to hire 6 new positions, including 4 jailers, 1 administrative assistant, and 1 bailiff to the existing budget in the amount of $269,858. And they were appropriated from the county detention facility fund in his 3018. And then we placed into the salary.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's, I wanted to come up with what I came up on this one here too. This ad of $269,000 swings our jail and hourly wages to the second highest out of the 27 counties. No matter how big the other jails are or how small they are, we're the second highest paid. And again, we, back in January at the budget meeting, when this was discussed, we had suggested 2 jailers and then see how it worked out and go from there. We're set at, gonna be set, if this passes, we'll be set at the second highest in all the counties, 27 counties, at $777,345 in hourly wages, period. Cost of keeping the employees is $42 a day, I think is what I have. About $42 a day to keep the prisoners. That's it for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Justice White, are you saying it costs $42 to keep a DOC prisoner?
I'm saying the information that the sheriff's office turns into the state for the cost of the employees at Marion County is $42 and some odd cents each. That's what the cost is to keep them. We're losing
But
about
we're
$3
only-
a person.
Oh, okay, that was
on
my
keeping.
point.
Yes.
That was what I was trying to clarify.
Yes,
So we lose money on.
and that's just on the state. It costs the same thing for city ones, the city
County.
people we put in jail.
Okay, thanks.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Got a different reason for this one. We budgeted as if we were gonna have the inmates, and we never got the inmates. And now we're trying to re-budget the money for the inmates, but this time we're gonna get the inmates. And at one point in time, I strongly supported this until I reviewed the numbers. Roughly, this is gonna generate $80,000 worth of revenue and cost us $269,000. I believe that to be true. So it's gonna take us down ultimately $160,000 in the negative to expand by 4 people and bring in inmates.
It's not 4 people, 6.
I'm sorry. I was just calculating the 4 jailers. Okay, same totals though. The numbers still work. It's gonna cost us $210,000. And we're getting $80,000, but we're only getting $80,000 because the price of each inmate went up. So what I'm saying is, if you look historically at what we did, we brought in inmates to generate revenue and added 4 positions, but never brought in the inmates. But now we're bringing in the inmates and bringing in the revenue twice, but we only get it once really and adding 4 more. It doesn't add up.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
What you're saying, Talon, is in December 21, when we passed the law enforcement budget, they were talking about the DOC prisoners, and they said they can get roughly 30,000 per prisoner, like 370, 400,000 a year. We raised the budget 400,000 to accommodate that need. That was in 2001, December. They made some other modifications. Right now, they're saying to house the same prisoners, an additional 400,000. So we already paid on a future request that never came in last year. No offense to you, Greg. You had nothing to do with that.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just so excited it's not one-time money.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
There's that.
There's $400,000 of carryover money coming in that was projected from 2022. The projected revenue for 2023, we run the numbers, came to $510,000. Now this is coming from sales tax and final settlement and jail fees.
510,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Including in that 510,000 was not the 348,000 that is projected to come from the inmates. So it was not. I mean, yes, it's in my vision, the county detention center can fund this. It's not pulling any extra from the county budget. The county budget, the county general is funding the jail by $76,000, $76,573. That is coming from county general.
How much?
Other monies,
How much was that?
I'm sorry,
How much money was coming from county general?
$76,573.
Okay.
The rest of the money that the jail, that the detention center gets is from the sales tax.
Okay.
And the carryover.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna politely say this. There's no way that 2022 can be used to represent the way that this works. And I am not blaming you, because what you're looking at, that would be the answer that I arrived at also, but I was there. 2022 had carryover because the last sheriff didn't spend any money because he didn't have anybody hired and he didn't have any inmates in. So all the money that was going to be spent on salaries became carryover. It will not be carryover if you fill the positions. If you were to fill the positions, there would have been a carryover of $0 in 2022. He didn't fill the positions to the tune of that much carryover. He brought in some inmates, but he had these empty. So the money that was supposed to pay for the payroll was still coming in because he kept a few inmates, but the payroll positions weren't being paid out. So it accrued a great deal of number. What you're looking at, I 100% understand how you arrived at that conclusion, but it's just simply not the way that it is on paper. When you hire people, that number will be $0. Now, I understand how you arrived at that. I went through it. I made the speech at the budget thing. I went home. I called Mike. I talked to him. He told me I was wrong. I was right. I redid the math. I understand how you arrived at that conclusion based off what 2022 says, but we budgeted that to end with $0 carryover. And I know that because we subsidized from county general the account, and we did not give him any carryover because we knew that if we did subsidize and give him carryover, that he would add to his budget and we couldn't afford it. So we budgeted $0 carryover. He carried that over because he was understaffed and he kept some inmates. It is not you cannot look at 2022 and arrive at the way that it works. It just won't work.
Well, that's what I looked at.
I understand how you came to that conclusion.
Sheriff Alexander?
Yes, sir.
On your ordinance here, the first time I noticed this part of it, you're basically thinking that the jail will finance this itself. They won't need any funds from the county.
No additional funds, yes.
Other than what's already there.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Quick math for everybody to do. $50,000 an employee, let's plan on that. we added 4 for the last sheriff. We're adding 4 here. And then we're adding 2 other positions. Let's say it's 50,000, it's 4, 8, 9, 10 positions. $50,000, it's $500,000. How many inmates can we house?
Well, DOC inmates were
Yep.
out at 30.
Okay, 30 at how much per day?
That's 36,000, 360,000 a year.
Okay, so we're in the hole, 140,000 if we do basic math. And I want to say that respectfully. I do understand how you arrived at that conclusion. It's just simply not. It's not correct.
Well, I will say this for future reference. Come the end of the year, I will know how much money you have.
Yeah.
Y'all won't be able to pull that on me
No,
much.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. Justice McCall?
Sheriff,
Yes, ma'am.
you mentioned that there was a person coming from Little Rock to survey the jail.
Yes, Sterling Pennies.
Okay, has he been there?
He has not.
Okay.
Mr.
Sir.
Chairman, in all fairness to you, Greg, we knew we were having trouble last year. And when you got elected, we, like I told you,
Yeah.
I don't, you just got into, you thought it was like shallow quicksand, but it's real deep. And like he said, like Talon said, all last year, half of the meetings, he hardly any representation. And even during the budget process. And that's why when you came to one meeting, we just said, he's not here and here's the amount to go to. That's all we could do. And now with the concern we have is once I saw this, that's why I said, if we all sit down and go over it, you can't have 10 ones. You gotta have 1 and a number 2 and a number 3, only because you have X number of dollars. And you can't look at the other departments and say, well, they're secondary. That's not fair. So, thanks, Greg.
Sir?
A question that is in my mind, and I want the sheriff to answer this, and has not been addressed, is what numbers does the sheriff have to feel comfortable for him and his family to live in Union County like you? What numbers? You all haven't addressed that.
Yeah.
I want to know the numbers that we will feel comfortable with. That's what I'm paying taxes for, is to feel comfortable in my house.
Well, can I respond to that?
Yes, sir.
In the budget process, it's a twofold process. The treasurer projects, she estimates, or they estimate what the revenue projection is gonna be for all the departments. And she gives it to the budget committee. We get it, we put it on a report. We take the elected officials, submit us a budget worksheet on what they want to spend their money on. We changed the process last year. Talon recommended, rather than us requiring the 4 category total and adding them up, no, we're gonna just ask for the bottom category. So what's in the middle is up to the elected official, as long as they met the bottom amount. When we sat down with the sheriff and went over the budget, when we saw the amount, it was like, I want to say $1.5 million or something like that. Increase, not the same. We asked to go through it. At the last meeting, we were waiting to approve the budget for the December meeting. He didn't show up. Greg was there and we said, the bottom line here is the total. And that's what we did. We plunked that, the total of what the budget is. So the sheriff can take any amount within that total and factor however he wants to. And we did that for all the elected officials because we were accused of micromanaging. So we got off that.
But if he is asking for 6 positions, I would assume that is his minimum requirement for this county to be or feel safe. It's a catch-22. It's difficult.
Yes, sir.
I do not know how you are going to ever solve this problem.
I'd like for Greg to answer the question because I too would like to know how many people we're trying to get here.
The bailiff position is needed to free up the,
Just total number. How many people, like how many deputies are we trying to get to? And how many jailers are we trying to get to total is all I'm looking for.
well, total, we need 4 jailers per shift, which is gonna be 16 jailers. All right, so 16 jailers. And I had asked for 3 other deputies. And
So,
then that's gonna make a total of 9.
Right now, we have how many? 9, we have 3 more, will only be 9 deputies.
9 road deputies, yes.
It's a shame.
That's,
That's not counting Silas and Steve Raines, that's not counting the CID. I'm talking about road deputies that are not investigating the criminal activity in our county.
well, in defense of the sheriff, Marion County taxpayers were presented to vote on a 63-bed jail, and they passed tax to afford the 63-bed jail, but a 93-bed jail was built instead. So whoever sheriff and judge immediately starts off underfunded because someone who passed a tax for a 63-bed jail built a 93-bed jail. Okay, that's something they inherited in their defense. Secondly, in everyone else's defense, including probably everyone, the proposal that the jail built proposed that it would need 1 additional employee to run the jail. So the taxpayers voted to build a 63-bed jail that required 1 more employee, but they got a 93-bed jail that now requires at least 7 more employees. So that helps you understand how we're here and why we're short on the money. So for anybody who didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you filled those 2 positions that you had open, Cheryl? And
They were
James?
hired today, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Look, one fast question.
Mr.
We were
Hudson?
sold a bill of goods. I was at the meeting when the 60 or 90 bed jail was. The guy that presented the meeting said that we would have less employees up there because of the pod complex. And I'm going, well, that's really good. And I bought it like everybody else did.
Right.
Yeah, we got
We-
screwed.
Yeah, nice terminology.
Judge.
Go ahead, sir.
Sheriff, this morning there was, I believe, 79 inmates. What is your jailer to inmate ratio, and does it?
We had 2 jailers all night last night,
Does that comply with state standards?
oh, absolutely not. But I'm not advertising that right now, but yes, there were 2.
But we have never been told what the ratio of prisoners to jailers is. We've asked numerous times and no one has ever gave us a set in writing from the state. All we would hear is, we need more, we need more. we need more.
Well, I don't have it in writing, but
But you're
just
getting
like
it
this,
because that guy's coming.
yes.
Any further discussion? This is the motion to adopt. Justice Hutching,
Yes.
Justice Shipman?
No.
Justice Brigham?
No.
Justice McCullough?
No.
Justice Scrima?
No.
Justice Nichols?
No.
Justice Van Kuren?
No.
Justice White?
No.
Justice Reed?
Yes.
Motion failed. Speaking right along.
It's really fast on that.
You might have to use the restroom.
How many total do they have?
I believe there's 74 or 5 up there right now. I'm not for certain. Rich.
Not jailers, I mean, prisoners.
Yeah, 74, 75.
74?
Yeah, don't hold me to that number. I'm not for certain. We've had to send a few back, and we won't have to send more back because of the fight that was in the jail last night.
Go ahead, move forward.
Ordinance 23-8. This is amending the ordinance 2018-4 of Marion County Personnel Policy, and it's adding. It's amending the hiring and promoting section of the policy to reflect that employees rehired after more than 60 days separation from employees will be treated as new employees If an employee left for medical reasons and there's a gap in less than 6 months, the employee may be reinstated as if there's been no lapse at the discretion of their supervisor.
So this is changing it from 90 days.
It's not my ordinance.
It's amended.
Can we get a motion to adopt before we move forward?
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, now discussion.
Okay, this is amending this from 90 days to 60. Is that correct? No. Whoa. Now, yeah, we're doing from 90 to 60, correct?
It was, they would be new employees if they would be treated as new employees, but if it was medical, then they would have no longer the 90 days. The employee can be reinstated, at the discretion of the supervisor. The second is, if it does take out new employee, it says, effective upon passing of this ordinance, employees rehired after more than a 60-day separation shall be treated as new employees. So they have 60 days to return and not be new employees. The old one is if, like, they were fired and rehired, they were immediately new employees. This is giving them up to 6 days.
I got you.
Yes, sir.
My question here is, first of all, is this retroactive? Like, will this go back 60 days? December 18th, roughly. 60 days. Or is it starting now and moving forward? Who sponsored this? Personnel committee. I think that's a legal question, most likely.
We did not discuss retroactive,
Wasn't discussed.
not retroactive.
Okay. And then my other, number one, Mr. Russo.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Russo, on this ordinance here regarding the 60 days to hire an employee back without them being a new employee, can that be made retroactive? Like, for example, if we started now, could we reach back 60 days and bring the employees back and then be not considered a new employee?
Yes.
Okay. And then just my second question, does the Quorum Court have the legal authority to change our policy to where it says, effective upon passage of this ordinance, employees rehired after more than 60 days separation from the county shall be treated as new employees if the employee left for medical reason, the gap in employment is less than 6 months, and the supervisor may, I'm sorry, I butchered that. If the employee left for medical reason and the gap in employment is less than 6 months, the employee may be reinstated as if there had been no lapse at the discretion of their supervisor. Do we have the authority to change may to shall, to where if someone were to leave on medical and it was less than 6 months and they were rehired, that they would be reinstated?
That's the county personnel policy, so if you all amend it, yes.
Okay.
You can do that.
So then we could also amend the first part of it where it says, effective upon passage of this ordinance, employees rehired. Okay, so I'm confused on exactly what this is doing, because it says, upon passage of this ordinance, employees rehired after more than a 60-day separation from employment shall be treated as new employees. So does that mean that if we made it retroactive, then someone who was hypothetically let loose and then brought back within the last 60 days would be reinstated as not pay-wise necessarily, because they could be brought back in a different position, but the new part of their employee, like they would gain their time for vacation back if we amended that?
If you amended that, but potentially yes.
It potentially scares me. I like to be real clear.
Okay, so first of all, some of this policy is based upon from the AAC. And what the AAC made these recommendations over the 6 months is that if there was a change in administration and employees were let loose, the new administration would bring them in, and basically the employee could just keep on trucking with their seniority and all that. Okay. But potentially comes in because, let's say, for argument's sake, an employee was let go and they were paid all their sick and vacation time, and it was paid out.
Mhm.
They get rehired. Now they're going to be rehired, and it's going to be retroactive. And they could potentially keep all their benefits, and they also got paid for it too.
Okay, so specifically in that situation, what I'm asking is vacation time doesn't regroup until July. So if we made this retroactive and we put shall, and we assume that the first part means that they'll be reinstated, if a person was let go within the last 60 days and they were paid out for their time, that's fair. They start back up, they were still paid out for their time, but instead of having to work 1 year to get 1 week of vacation, they would work until their vacation normally would reapply.
Correct.
Okay. I'll make a motion to them.
Yes, sir.
There's part B of that.
Okay.
There's been instances where people were paid contrary to the existing policy. So if you amend that and say, yeah, go back 60 days, my advice to the county judge was they're either going to be a new hire or they pay all that money back. Because why should an employee who gets let go and paid all their leave time, including sick time, in violation of county personnel policy, be rehired and given all the benefits plus? Yeah. I'd be saying, as a county employee, at the change of administration, fire me, pay me all my money, and bring me right back 60 days later.
We don't pay sick time, do we?
Yes, we did. County policy says we don't pay sick time,
That's why I question.
but they got paid sick time.
I do not believe that we did not follow county policy.
I did not either.
I'm from the government, I'm just here to help.
I think we should give you more money. That'll help.
So that's, there's a balancing equation here of fair and just. And I get why the policy recommendation was made. I also understand why it was changed from 6 months to 60 days. This is a fact-intensive inquiry, and I think it's going to be situational based upon each employee's situation. And that's why I like the May language in there and allowing the supervisor, the elected official, or someone to manage these issues that could potentially arise. And that's my concern when we're talking about, if you do a blanket policy, it potentially is going to create a lot of problems down the road. And there has to be a little bit of discretion for the various elected officials to be able to deal with this on a case-by-case basis. And that's why the May language is in there.
Okay.
Mandatory shall.
I tried.
But again, it's your personnel policy, you can do what you want.
Don't know what I want right now.
So you're not going to make
I never made one. No,
well, you started to.
no. I didn't finish.
Good, we did. Any further discussion? We're gonna vote to adopt Justice Shipman,
Yes.
Justice Brigham,
Yes.
Justice McCullough,
Yes.
Justice Scrima,
Yes.
Justice Nichols.
Yes.
Justice Van Kuren.
No.
Justice White.
Yes.
Justice Reed,
Yes.
Justice Hutchins.
Yes.
What was it? Is that?
Okay. Okay. This is Ordinance 2023-9, amending the operating budget for 2022. For 2022-98. And this is an amendment charging numbers and comp from 22.98 to reflect a $2 per hour increase for each employee as follows. And this is for the DPA secretary and the victim witness coordinator. And apparently the money's already been appropriated into the budget, it just has not been put into numbers and comp. That's it. I know, I'm waiting for discussion to start.
Oh. Yes, sir.
I'll support this 100% after I review this and make sure that our numbers and comp is set up currently. And when I'm done with that, I support you. Till then, I'm going to vote no. I support this raise and many other raises tonight that are proposed. I support many of them, but I cannot vote in favor of them until I review this and our numbers and comps and our projected revenues, and I make sure that I understand completely where I'm at so I can make a fair and honest decision. And to no blame of anybody, but I've only been presented with this tonight, so no one expects me to have time to review that. And I'm still waiting on some other things, to no fault of anyone. I just, until I do that, I'm not prepared to vote. I do support several of these things, but I'm just stating now so I don't have to talk again so I'm ready to get home. I'm going to vote no until I can do that.
Sir.
May it please the court. Back when the budget process started, I was told to present my budget pursuant to established policy to the budget committee. I prepared a budget justification, and in that budget justification, I presented to the budget committee an increase in my budget and salaries of $2.66 per hour. I justified that by comparison of my personnel staff to other Class 2 counties throughout the state. I also did a comparison and looked at other county employees. My employees were among the lowest paid for Marion County and in the state for comparable positions. As a result, I moved forward and I presented that to the budget committee. After discussions in budget committee, I was told that the county judge was going to request a $2 an hour pay increase for all employees. My budget justification had nothing to do with that $2 an hour pay increase. Nothing. My justification was independent. I was approached by various county officials, and I basically relayed to them that in the interest of maintaining parity with the rest of the county, that I would just put in a $2 an hour pay increase, and I would throttle my budget back in all the other categories to 2022 levels. I did that. I sent out an amended budget request on December 29th, outlining all of these requests to everyone except for the 2 new justices. Everybody else got this email on December 29th, outlining every bit of this. I was never told by anyone in county government whether my budget had passed or not passed. No one. I had to find out through the grapevine that my budget was held to 2022 levels. And when I sent out the amended budget request on December 29th, I specifically put in there, I wanted to come back before the budget committee because I heard through the grapevine that my budget was held to 2022 levels. I began working on
a presentation to the budget committee where I was gonna specifically request $12,000, 12,000 and change, out of PILT money to fund the increase in my budget. Imagine my surprise as I was working on that I discovered that my budget was approved by the Quorum Court in the budget committee as I had submitted everything. And I got what I submitted, and I had justified, not once, but twice. And I'm like, well, I have nothing to complain about. The Quorum Court and the budget committee accepted all my justifications and all my requests. However, upon reviewing the county budget, numbers and comp did not match the approved budget. As a result, I wrote this ordinance specifically asking the Quorum Court to go, Mr. Russo, you asked for a pay increase, you asked for an approved budget, we gave it to you. There's a difference between numbers and comp and what your budget request is. So I wrote this ordinance to say, look, you approved my budget. You approved my justification. You approved this, just let me pay my people as I requested in October, in December, provided all the justification all the way through. Just allow me to do that. Here's what I'll tell you. Even if you approve the increase that I justified, I'm still way under the budget. And the reason being is my whole budget got approved. Now, if you want my assurance that I'll stick in all the other categories instead of spending that money, I'll give it to you right now. In all my other budget categories, I'll stay within my limits. I'm a man of my word. But I did everything that you all asked. I did everything. All I'm asking is, you approved my budget. Apparently, I must have done a good job on my justification. All I'm asking is to pay my people. Now, I've heard it said in meetings, well, that's not fair to the other county employees. We're opening all these doors. First of all, it's not my issue. Second of all, I justified my people getting a pay increase because they're among the lowest paid. And their job responsibilities are off the charts for what they do. As a direct result, that's why I'm here. And all I'm asking is, allow me to pay my people as the department head, as I see fit, and this pay raise will put them on parity with other county employees. That's all it's going to do. And because I've sent this out, not once, but twice, and I've had numerous discussions with everyone, I'm just asking you to approve.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
In your defense, if I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we approved your budget with the increases. We said, okay.
I was never told that.
Well, what we've learned in the process, my Goomba friend over there, whoever's on the budget committee next year, we had some departments, 3 elected officials bring me a budget for their department, the same budget, 3 different budgets. And I said, get the heck out of here. Wouldn't take them. A system where the actual worksheet that I had, and I turned it over to Tony, is stamped, approved, so it can be matched. I don't doubt we had said at the beginning, no raises in the reports. We got budgets with raises, as if no one heard anything. So in all fairness to the committee, and what Tony and I talked about, is having a person who does the updating for the system to be in that meeting, to have their worksheet stamped, approved, and that's the budget worksheet. We were bouncing around and I gave him the book with all the budget worksheets that I had. And I still think some of them didn't match. The numbers in comps didn't match so if I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we approved his budget. We said, okay. I think I was at that meeting. And I could be wrong, but I thought I did.
Yes, sir.
In that, Mr.
Russo is exactly right, because when I initially started to put the budget in, this is all new to me, how this worked. First, I was a bit perplexed about having a set of numbers, one set that has gone through whatever committee, and that final one is the one that is official, that is taken, not one with a revised, scraped out with another signature on it. That to me is scary to begin with. Be that as it may, the numbers that were given to me by Justice Scrimo, and that I took and I put into this little thing here, includes that of the of prosecuting attorney. And each one shows what the numbers and comps were for 2022, what a hypothetical $2 raise would be, because we're talking about that across the board. And then what the JPs had in fact approved in their budget. And if you'll see that, as you were saying, the bottom line is what you're concerned with.
Right.
Okay, and if you look at what those numbers are that you approved in the worksheets that are on the back page of each breakdown here, you can have this with you. You will see that the numbers that are approved, that you raise 2022 numbers by $2 for those paid, for the people being paid, all right? That still in many cases comes out actually lower than what you guys approved. And it's on that summary page there, and you can see what you approved per department and what a raise would be. And then certainly in the case of prosecuting attorney, that's in both cases, giving them a raise of $2 would actually be less than what you approved it for.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, in Mr. Russo's defense, when we go to defend our budgets, what are we told? If there's money there, we'll pass your budget. Nobody ever calls the elected officials and say, guess what, your budget's passed. I didn't find out my budget was correct or was done the way I wanted it to be done until I got the budget in December.
Mr. Chair, I don't ever recall, I could be wrong, telling someone if it's in your budget, it's okay. We made it clear in the meeting, because the first thing we started looking at the first meeting, we saw the meeting and then we saw raises. We said no raises in the budget, and that never got communicated down the line. Some people gave us their budgets with raises, some didn't. So I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I don't ever remember saying, if it's in there, go ahead and take it. I thought we wanted two worksheets, one as you need it without raises, because at the time, I think Claudia is right. We wanted to see where we were gonna stand with the total figure, because we had no idea.
Yes, sir.
So the long and short of it is, you're saying thank you to the committee for passing it, and an error has been made, you'd like to have it corrected.
Yes.
Yes.
Because in here's, I don't want to get caught up in the whole countywide pay raise, because my budget justification was before any talk about pay raises began.
Right.
I was just trying to bring my people up parity-wise with other county employees, and I used other Class 2 counties as the justification. Then the whole $2 an hour pay increase started. And I agreed to drop my budget back to keep parity. Because if you were to approve a countywide $2 an hour pay increase, my people are back to being underpaid. Because all the other employees are gonna come up, mine are going, you see what I'm saying? My justification was based upon my budget and everything that I accumulated.
You know, we can't vote on it.
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to drive that point.
I know, but you didn't actually say thank you.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the vote.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna say again what I said. So I support this 100% after I review this and the numbers in comp and check everything and look at projections. But I can't answer a question that's very important to be answered, is how much money do we have in county general that's unappropriated, that's anticipated? And I don't know that figure. And even if somebody stood up and shouted it at me, I haven't double checked that. So until then, I'm not voting for any of this.
We haven't received any of that from the comptroller's office, have we?
to my knowledge, I am not armed with the tools that I need to be armed with to make an educated decision on what we can increase and what we cannot increase. And for that reason, I'm going to be voting no.
Any further discussion? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
There are other mistakes in numbers and columns besides this one. That need to be. See, that's the whole thing right
Whole thing
there.
needs to be reviewed.
I agree. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
one of the things, John, we've talked about this several times. You need an ordinance to create numbers and comps. You should have an ordinance to change numbers and comps. That's your backup documentation. In the past, it had not been done that way. And when you're trying to correlate hourly wages in some departments, they went from salary to hourly and got paid. How they did that is beyond me. So it does need to be reviewed. But yes, I do remember us approving if I'm wrong, you guys tell me. I'm 82 and I make mistakes, okay?
I'm sorry, Mike. It's 8:44.
So sleeping.
Yes, sir.
Judge, if we've got to rely on numbers and comp, because I've already pointed out numbers and comp is wrong, then how am I spending any money out of my budget?
Right.
How are we paying payroll?
Yeah.
Because if you're saying numbers and comp is wrong, you're not going to vote on it. Then my entire budget's wrong. But based upon the comptroller's numbers that he submitted, and that's what I have to go by, my budget's passed and approved, and even giving my people the justified raise, I am still in both budgets almost $7,000 under budget. And here's what I'll tell the court. I'm not going to spend in those other categories in excess of the 2022 numbers. That's what I told the budget committee. That's what I told them I was going to stick to. And how the whole amount got in there, I don't know. But I don't want to leave here tonight after all the work I've put in and fight for my people without them getting the pay raise that puts them on parity with other county employees as of right now.
okay. This is the vote to adopt. Justice Brigham,
No.
Justice McCullough,
No.
Justice Scrima,
Yes.
Justice Nichols.
Yes.
Justice Van Kuren,
No.
Justice White,
Yes.
Justice Reed,
Yes.
Justice Hutchin,
Yes.
Justice Shipman.
No.
Motion failed.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did it pass or fail?
Failed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The next, yes, please.
The ordinance for the planning commission, we're going to withdraw it.
Election Commission.
Election commission. I didn't vote. And part of the reason is we went to that seminar Wednesday in Fayetteville. There's some 25 bills before the legislature affecting the election commission that they're trying to mandate certain things. They're addressing many of those issues that are in that ordinance. That this is Senate Bill 292. It has 61 sponsors, so it will probably pass in some form. So we might as well see what the legislature does before we mess everything up. So I'm going to withdraw that, but I do want you to vote for the resolution, because what Mike was pointing out is that one group, which I'm sure he was talking about, the election commission, gave 3 different budgets. The law allows that because all 3 of the commissioners are absolutely equal. Even though I've been voted chairman, my sole function is to call meetings, which is why this resolution is important,
so that the court, or the election commission addresses the Quorum Court with one vote on matter that we have said, this is what our united front is.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Chris, can I respond to that? The budget committee gets 3 commissioners and gives us 3 budgets. Which one do we approve?
Well, actually, the commissioners, only 2 commissioners presented. a
I
budget.
got 3. There were 3
I know, but
budgets.
I was the other one.
That was before you, I'm sorry. You weren't there. I don't budget. The budget we just passed.
Scott didn't get one.
I'm sorry?
Scott didn't submit a
No,
budget.
that's right.
Yeah, it was me and 2 other commissioners.
Okay. Yeah, the question is, what budget did we pass? We went to the chairman. That's what we went to, but if you say that's not correct,
But that's why this resolution.
we'll just send it back and let them work it out in a room and shut the door. Last man out wins. Thanks, sir.
I'm just pointing out some of the flaws in the election laws.
Yeah.
Ordinance 2310. This is amending the annual operating budget for the Marion County Judge's Office. It is going to give a $3 an hour raise to this position of the full-time assistant comptroller. And again, this was included in their budget, but not included in numbers and comp.
Move to accept.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Is this I have, sorry, sir.
Good.
Is this a new position or just a
It's a $3 an hour raise.
$3 an hour raise? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
We're voting to adopt. Justice McCullough,
No.
Justice Scrima,
No.
Justice Nichols,
No.
Justice Van Kuren,
No.
Justice White,
No.
Justice Reed,
Yes.
Justice Hutching,
No.
Justice Shipman,
No.
Justice Brigham.
No.
Motion carried. $2023-11, amending the annual operating budget. This is for the full-time comptroller and the 13 pay periods of the county administrative assistant with $2 an hour raises. Again, it was included in their budget, but not into the numbers and comp.
Motion to accept.
Second it.
Thanks.
Voting to adopt, Justice Scrima,
No.
Justice Nichols.
No.
Justice Van Kuren,
No.
Justice White,
No.
Justice Reed,
Yes.
Justice Hutching,
No.
Justice Shipman,
No.
Justice Brigham.
Nope.
Justice McCullough.
No.
Motion failed. Ordinance 2023-12, amending the annual operating budget. This is increasing the hourly wage for the maintenance custodian by $2 an hour. Again, it was in the, let's see. I'm sure. In the budget, but not included in numbers and comp. Yes, there it was. And then it would increase. As appropriate. Okay,
Motion to the no.
Question.
Yes, sir.
What I'm hearing, it's disturbing that almost all these ordinances have been appropriated with the funds. What meeting did I miss? I mean, we made it a point, I thought, that no raises until we could see it and we would look at that. But we passed the budget unknowns to us that had the raises in there. Now I'm getting worse in town, but now I'm really worried because we don't really know where we're standing right now. If the money's been appropriated.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Again, I would just repeat that the book you gave me with the
Yeah.
worksheets, what I saw were those numbers.
Sure.
And then at the same time saying no raises.
Yeah.
So there's an incongruency in this.
Yeah.
That it was in fact how you came to, you write those numbers are entirely your decision. But
Oh, so I agree. Obviously, the worksheets I had the money included already.
well, the numbers.
Yeah,
And it's in there, the numbers I had there show
Yes.
what you guys approved.
that's right. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Voting to adopt Justice Nichols,
No.
Justice Van
No.
Justice White,
No.
Justice Reed,
Yes.
Justice Hutchings.
No.
Justice Shipman,
No.
Justice Brigham. No. Justice McCullough,
No.
Justice Scrimmon.
No.
Okay, 2023-13. Again. $2 an hour raises for 911. Money has been appropriated. It was not included in the numbers and comments.
Motion to adopt.
Okay, voting on a motion to adopt. Justice Van Kuren,
No.
Justice White,
No.
Justice Reed,
Yes.
Justice Hutchings,
No.
Justice Shipman,
No.
Justice Brigham. No. Justice McCullough,
No.
Justice Scrimmon,
No.
Justice Nichols.
No.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay. This is 14. And this is amending the annual operating budget, different way this time. They are eliminating a position of administrative assistant in the road department.
Motion.
Second.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, eliminating this position, is there anybody sitting in this position now?
Yes, sir.
There is?
I didn't know we went so far.
Yes, ma'am.
This is my 7th year, and I'm sure there's lots of people sitting out there saying 7 years too long. As a justice of the peace, we have never, ever eliminated a position on numbers and comp when there's been a body in that job.
Okay.
So I am not starting now.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Is this person gonna be transferred to another position?
No, if the position was
So we're
eliminated,
eliminating a position.
if the position was eliminated, they would be without employment at the county.
I'm like you, Mr. I've been here 14 years, and normally you eliminate the person And then if you need, you can change the title to something else or do something. But we don't eliminate employees. If that's with the road department, that would be the county judge, that'd be under your authority. I don't know about that. Yes, sir.
The reason it was being done this way is by counsel for the AAC because of the person that's in that position now. And this was the way it was recommended to us from the Arkansas Association of Counties Attorneys to go about it in this fashion.
Is there anything outstanding that would make it questionable?
Not from a budget standpoint of view.
Not
No.
from the budget, I'm talking the employee. I could be wrong, but I remember a while back, there was an employee terminated and they came up with some other argument. It's a legal argument. That's the concern, is that they're a legal issue, us terminating them.
No. According to the attorneys of the AAC, this is the way to go about it without a legal issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, voting on to it.
I have a question,
Yes, sir.
for Mr. Russo again. Is that okay?
Yes, that's true.
Mr. Russo, if, if we lay this on the table indefinitely, is that a way to escape having to vote yes or no on it, due to it has already been motioned and discussed?
If it's moved to be tabled indefinitely, then that's where we'll lay. If it's
And then the record would reflect that we never voted for or against it?
correct.
I'll make a motion to table indefinitely.
Hang on.
I'll second it.
Wesley, sorry.
Okay, motion to table indefinitely. Justice White? Justice Reed?
No.
Justice Hutching?
Yes.
Justice Shipman?
Yes.
Justice Brigham?
Yes.
Justice McCullough?
Yes.
Justice Scrimmett?
Yes.
Justice Nichols?
Yes.
Justice Van Kuren?
Abstain.
Motion passed.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, 2023-15. Amending the annual operating budget for the Marion County Road Department. This again is giving $2 an hour raises included in the budget, but not included in numbers in the
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to, or voting on adoption. Justice Reed?
Yes.
Justice Hutching?
No.
Justice Shipman?
No.
Justice Brigham?
No.
Justice McCullough?
No.
Justice Scrimmett?
No.
Justice Nichols?
No.
Justice Van Kuren?
No.
Justice White?
No.
Thank you. Motion failed. Oh, 23-16, amending the annual operating budget for the Marion County Transfer Station. Again, $2 an hour raises with money that been appropriated but not included in numbers and comp.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Yes, sir.
I support a lot of these.
Yes,
but
sir.
I can't vote for them until I figure out the math.
As you said earlier, correct,
I
sir?
just want to clarify.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As a newcomer, I agree again with Justice Van Kuren.
Mhm.
But I have a question. Okay, who's supposed to know how much money you guys got? And if you guys don't, who's supposed to know it? And why aren't they doing their job?
We have that same question.
I could reply to number one, a lot of people should know how much money we have. Number two, I'm fairly confident that I do know how much money we have, but I'm not fairly confident that everyone else does. And I just want to make certain that everything is right and checks out before we move forward. To clarify that for just a second,
Yes,
if
sir.
we make a mistake, look at it like this. Once we let the cat out of the bag, it's a lot harder to get it back in there. I'm fairly confident that I know how much money we have. I'm fairly confident that we don't have enough for all this. This is 1.7 million tonight.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
and in answer to your question, the budget system and the funding are two separate systems. They don't talk to each other. I could have a $50 an hour in the numbers and comps report and be in the budget. And they don't, that's why now they're going to a newer system. They had trouble with the current one. They didn't talk to each other, and there was always a lot of questions on what the budget said and what the actual revenues were. It's not one system where everybody's talking to each other. They're completely two separate systems, and numbers and comps are worse because that's being done by someone way over here. And now, as I said, with Tony, is to start having a system that on the budget, we stamp that, and that's what we get. Because we had people giving us paperwork at every meeting. And which one is the correct one, so, but I'm like,
Yes, sir.
To clarify too, for anybody who might see what's going on and be scared, I am also very, very confident that the county is in the best shape today that it's been in the last 12 years. So there's nothing to worry about. It's just it would not be the right thing to do for me to vote for something when I'm certain that not everything's correct. But we're in good shape.
Okay, voting on the motion to adopt. I can't even read anymore. Justice Hutching? I'm sorry. I can't hear you.
I didn't say anything yet.
Oh.
No.
Okay. Justice Shipman?
No.
Justice Brigham?
Nope.
Justice McCullough?
No.
Justice Skrima?
nope,
Justice Nichols?
No.
Justice Van Kuren?
No.
Justice White?
No.
Justice Reed?
Yes.
Again, amending the annual this is 2317, I'm sorry. Amending the annual operating budget for the Marion County Road Department for $2 an hour increase in wages for the full-time disaster prep mounts and signs and electrician supervisor. Well, he's getting a $3 an hour. No, these people are getting $3 an hour, I'm sorry. And again, in the budget, not appropriate, not putting the numbers in.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Justice Shipman?
No.
Justice Brigham?
No.
Justice McCullough?
No.
Justice Skrima?
no,
Justice Nichols?
No.
Justice Van Kuren?
No.
Justice White?
No.
Justice Reed?
Yes.
Justice Hutching?
No.
Okay. Ordinance are done. Move right along to the resolution.
Just for information's sake, that's all, they have January 2023 on, not that.
What?
The date on
The
it.
date on it was January 2023,
On the resolution.
and it's February.
No, I need to change it.
Each one of those ordinances at the end has this date of, and it says January. And we're now in February.
Oh, well, none was passed.
That's what I said.
I'm not gonna be overly concerned. Okay. Resolution number 1. This is a resolution for the Marion County Sheriff to establish a line of succession during an emergency vacancy is confirmed. And then he's attached the policy statement, which would, the order of succession would be as follows: Chief Deputy Mark Hollingsworth, Patrol Sergeant Ted Gilly, and Administrative Assistant Jacqueline Wallace.
Motion.
Second. I'll vote no. I don't want you to die.
That's true either.
Especially when I read your last
Not over
session.
this.
Okay, by voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion passed. You're good to go.
I'll try not to check out too early.
You better not.
Please don't.
Not right now. No, we did pass that, so there is a line of succession, so. Okay, resolution number 2. What is this? Oh, this is on the election commission. And it addresses that only one member of the election commission will be able to address the quorum court and the subcommittees on behalf of the election commission.
Motion.
Second.
And by voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 3. This authorizes the Marion County Judge to apply for a grant on behalf of the Oakland Promised Land Fire Department Fire Protection District.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Don't we have another line of succession?
We voted for the judges.
Oh, it was last month?
Oh, we've already done.
Okay,
Nobody said they didn't want me to die.
I read your line of succession. I do.
Well, we don't.
are your feelings hurt?
Yeah.
No.
Vincent, with
I thought a little humor.
has asked to be on next month's agenda, as has Allison Reed. So they will be placed on next month's agenda.
They're not going to be here tonight.
They are not here tonight.
By chance, did they yield me their time?
What?
Linda had about 10 minutes, you can have her 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Everybody appreciates you giving me that.
Judge, appointments tonight?
Yes. Yes, sir.
I would like to express appreciation to Tony Tudero for the hard work that he has done. He has worked really hard. Appreciate it.
Say thank you, Tony.
I don't have the one here for Allison Dugan.
No, you only have,
Yeah, okay. I just saw.
you have Janice Duffy and you have,
I have Janice Duffy and Amy Brown.
those are the only ones. Allison Dugan is going to give you a presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. I have appointments for Janice Duffy with the Heritage Society as the Marion County Historian, and appointments as Amy Brown to the Marion County Library Board.
Also included in your packet is a copy of the interlocal agreement and a copy of the annual report.
Motion?
Great.
Real quick,
Okay.
I want to say thank you to St. Andrew Catholic Church. They gave us for the Kindness Month, the snacks here, and said in appreciation of the work on behalf of y'all for the county, providing these snacks and saying thank you. And then I'd like just to say thank you. I know this was a long one, but everybody was civil. The conversation was good. I think it was informative, and I appreciate that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Meeting adjourned.
Wait, one more thing.
Hell, I didn't have to have it at the end. I didn't know this was at the end.